This week for SPL, I was paired against CyberOdin from the Raiders. This is my preparation for the match. The Idiot Ninja, my team manager, prepared and gave me the scout, and the general consensus from my team was that CyberOdin is a TSS spammer. He brings T-Tar 100% of games, and he recycles teams a lot. Now, despite these clear targets, this was a tricky week to prepare for, because I know that CyberOdin has ADV support from Sadlysius, from their Latin America dojo, and Altina, who is on his SPL team. This makes things a little bit tricky, because they are two of my closest friends in the Pokemon community right now, and they know my tendencies very well. So for this week, I was looking to choose an archetype which I don't delve into as often. Diving into the team analysis. I'm really proud of this team, although I don't have much reason to be proud of it. I think it's really cool and has some terrific offensive synergy. Now, before I sort of go into it, this team was originally created by Asta Matitos. So Asta brought this team against me in Game 1 of our Best of 3 series for Pokemon Perfect semi-finals last year. And even though I won this game, I thought that the team looked really good. And so when trying to come up with ideas to increase my arsenal of teams, I thought this would be a really cool 6 to put together. And as you can see, there are some really cool Asta techs in here. He's got a sub CM Celebi, and he's got a DD Hidden Power Ghost Gyarados. And so these were ideas that basically I had in the front of my mind when I recreated this team for myself. Now, I didn't ask him for the team. I just didn't want to bother my friend, and I thought I would want to make it my own way anyway. So we'll jump into it. It's a physical offense team with Magneton there to take out Scum. So we have a Jolly Physical Gross, an Endeavor Swampert, DD-Tar, Mag, Sub CM Celebi, and DD Ghost Gara, which I will call Astagara from now. Now, what makes this team different from your normal physical offense teams? Well, it generates a lot of offensive pressure. Every mon is a serious threat. Another thing is that it's not too Dugtrio weak. Most of my mons do get picked off by Dugtrio, but every time Dugtrio comes in, I can set up with a serious threat, and it's sort of a trading game to see who can kill things faster. I didn't want to be too Dug weak, but I believed that against a Dugtrio team, I would be able to outplay and set up my offensive threats. One other thing I forgot to say in the team prep thing was that I noticed CyberOdin use a lot of Gengar. In fact, the team or archetype or core that I was expecting the most going into this set was a Gengar Moltres TSS. Now I know that he hasn't brought Moltres much in the past, but I just thought that would be very anti my typical teams. So where was that? That's one thing. It's not too Dugtrio weak, and we have Gyarados, which can really punish a bulky Gengar trying to check it, because +1 hidden power ghost guarantee Oko's Gengar even if it's physically defensive. And everything else generates a lot of offensive pressure. So for the Metagross, I've been loving Jolly a lot recently. I think I shaved off a few points off speed. Oh yes, that's right. And I shaved off a few points off attack before the game. So before the game, I thought instead of having lefties on Metagross, Sarlacc would be the perfect fit with the fast pace of this team. And with Sarlacc Berry, it lets me beat Salamence leads. So with this HP and defense, I always live an Adamant Choice Band Earthquake from Salamence, and I always live a plus special attack Fire Blast. So that lets me throw out a Meteor Mash, which will always 2KO a 0 HP Salamence, and after lefty's recovery, and that means that I can throw out a mash, sort of chip it for half, which will be really useful for my 2 mons later on. And I also have Rock Slide, which similarly is to smack Zapdos for about 50%, so again my 2 setup sweepers can hopefully clean house. So this is sort of my utility Metagross lead. We have Endeavor Swampert. Now, in Asta's version, he had Toxic on his Endeavor Swampert. I'm not as much of a fan, and I also wanted to have a bit more insurance against Suicune. As you can see, Suicune I don't really have good switch-ins to Suicune. So that's another reason why I wanted Raw there, as well as just generally being a very useful move on Swampert. T-Tar. Now, it was always going to be a Lumberry Dragon Dancer, and it was always going to be plus speed, so that I'm not outsped or revenged by Starmie, which, again, this team is too fast-paced and can really suffer against Starmie. The thing I wasn't sure of is for the coverage move, whether to run Double Edge, Hidden Power Bug, or HP Grass. There are really clear merits for all of them. Now, in my test games against Cowboy Dan, he sort of talked me into Double Edge, and I also like the idea of not having to take away from bulk. And this is the spread I use for my DD, Jolly, physical tars. I hit the calc and chose these benchmarks a while ago. I don't really remember exactly what they do, but they do something. Okay, so moving on to Magneton. Oh, yes. Oh dear, that is a terrible speed. Yuck. Let's fix that. Okay, so I cheated a lot on speed. I shaved off lots of speed off my mons because CyberOdin didn't seem like a speed creep kind of guy. So I've just hit sort of a min speed for plus speed Magneton, and again the bulk is to guarantee live. Well, this is kind of the wet noodle Magneton I run on a lot of my teams. The bulk lets it guarantee live a Jolly Hidden Power Ground from Skarmory. So that means I always win the Skarmory interaction. If it's Jolly, I guarantee live and I Thunderbolt and kill it. And if it's Adamant, I outspeed and I OHKO it. So I always catch Skarmory. One drawback of this spread, though, is that Skarmory can get down, standard specially defensive Skarmory can get down 1 layer of Spike and Whirlwind me out, and that can be really annoying. Yeah, even for this team it's kind of annoying. And also, with this sort of very weak special attack, I'm not doing as much to Fortress as I'd like. But this is my preferred spread on Magneton. And jumping into the two big Astatechs, let's talk about Gyarados first. So, Hidden Power Ghost lets it beat out a lot of its common checks and a lot of common metagame threats, such as Starmie, Gengar, and also Claydol to some extent. And Double Edge still lets it land big neutral hits on things like Zapdos. So I was really liking the offensive power of this Gyarados and the Celebi. So I don't know what spread Asta was running on his Celebi. Yeah, I asked him not long ago if he was indeed Psychic, and he also chose Psychic as his fourth move. So Calm Mind Substitute is unusual, but has the potential to work wonders. Giga Drain and Psychic. This can beat a lot of its otherwise checks, and has very strong surprise value. How I chose to EV it? Well, since we're running Substitute, we're going 404 HP, and that is to create 101 HP subs to defeat Pussy. And I also chose to run max speed Celebi with Timid. So that does mean I'm a little bit weak to Dugtrio, a little bit more vulnerable to Dugtrio. However, this 328 speed I believe is really crucial, especially on a team like this without much backbone. I'm going to rely on this to outspeed Moltres to get the jump on Zapdos and Salamence as well. And yeah, so I think I've said these ones a few times, but I was really expecting a Salamence or a Moltres, something like that. And I wanted Celebi to be able to handle them. Oh yes, so this does struggle a little bit with Jirachi. And for that reason, I lost really badly in a test game against a specially defensive Jirachi against Felix. So I decided to swap out Toxic for Thunder Wave. I think you can see that Asta had Toxic on his Magneton, and that can also be annoying for things like Blissey, but I wanted Thunder Wave insurance against some other stuff. Okay, so that's my team. Okay, so diving into the battle, we have a lead Metagross against a lead Salamence, and I'm already happy that I've switched to Salak Berry, which means I can stay in and mash without fear of taking 90% and then being forced out afterwards. So I'm clicking mash. I've clicked my move very quickly, and we're waiting for him to decide. Now, Salamence is sometimes scared of a Choice Band Metagross, which can kill it, and often Salamence teams appreciate the defensive utility of having Salamence around. So he may mid-ground, he may just click his strongest attack against me, but Salamence will never go for things like Rock Slide or Dragon Claw into a Metagross. It's a very risky turn 1 for both mons. Already Salamence is an unusual lead from CyberOdin, so he could be a Salamence Magneton offense himself, and as he reveals Fortress, so it's not going to be a physically defensive Wishman's Hyperstall, and that really cuts down a lot on his potential possibilities. I'm now calcing the roll on Fortress, and in particular, to see if he knows my spread. Now, that damage roll, as we see, was a medium to highish roll from a neutral-natured, slightly attack-invested Metagross. It could also be a very low roll from an adamant Metagross, and it could also be an attack-invested mixed Metagross. those are some things that I think CyberOdin has to juggle. He has to decide, am I going to click HP Fire? Am I going to go hard mag? And for those reasons, he might Earthquake, he might Scout by switching to something else. And so I thought that Celebi would be it's a really ambitious turn 2, but it's to try to catch his mid-grounds. And it works out beautifully as we get in Celebi against Swampert. In the back, he has this sort of team will have a Tyranitar, usually Pursuit, and Blissey, or another specially defensive ball, and the last mon is a bit flexible. It could be Gengar, Moltres, a Fighting Mon, Metagross, lots of options. Now turn 3, he protects as I Calm Mind, and he is in serious trouble now. Turn 3 Protect is really baffling. It's a super high risk move with almost no reward, because my team is mostly unrevealed, so my Celebi is uncapped in the sense that it could be Sub Pass, Swords Dance Pass, Calm Mind Pass, Calm Mind, all these threats, and Swampert just really doesn't gain anything from doing Protect. So I don't understand that move at all, and as you can see, CyberOdin is just going to lose to this Celebi now. Nice. So, reflecting on what CyberOdin maybe should have done instead, turn 2, after I've mashed, I think he should spend longer and spend more time. I really doubt that he spent enough time to consider all the possibilities and sort of analyze why I mashed and think about that damage roll. Because if I mixed HP Fire Metagross, would I really Meteor Mash turn 1 against a Salamence? Why would I do that? Well, it's possible, but like, why? And if I'm not, then it means I'm a Physical Gross plus Speed and possibly with Magneton in the back, so a very offensive team. And against that, maybe Spike, maybe Earthquake, maybe Switch. So switching is defendable, but I just feel like he made that decision way too quickly to have thought about all the nuances of that turn. And of course, the other turn, which just instantly lost, was protecting with Swampert. Now this was going to be a tough matchup for sure, because his when I see the Fortress, I'm 99% sure that Salamence is not Choice Band. I've built a Choice Band Salamence for a team in the past, but it's really hard to make work, and often Aero will just work better in that slot. So I know that it's mixed, and I have a really big feeling that he's not running max speed, because just based on how I feel about the guy. And that means that if he went Mence on the Celebi, I was just going to Calm Mind on its face. And that's another reason why I chose the Celebi spread. So this was always going to be tough for him. But one line that, I can't remember who suggested, but something that Felix was doing in our Texas games and just beating my ass with it, was going hard T-Tar straight in hard against Celebi. And that sets up Sand and gives Odin a lot more possibilities. For example, he may have been able to go Bliss, PP stall out my Giga Drains as I try to 1v1 it, and then wall me with T-Tar. That's just one possibility. I'm not sure. But as it is, this game plays out very smoothly. I don't want to be an ass about it, but overall, this game, my team has tools for his team, and his team does have tools for my team. And the game was really decided turn 2 and turn 3. So those were the critical game deciding turns, and the rest is kind of just going through the motions. Thank you everyone for watching my video, and I will see you guys next week.